All right, guys, I hope you're ready for tonight. I'm going to be by myself for just a little bit here till Eric gets back in the studio there. Had some, man, when you have them kids, you got them car troubles. I can't wait. We're going to have some troubles of our own here a little bit. I got a daughter that is just getting her permit. All right. Welcome to episode 57 of the Drag Drive Repeat show presented by Summit Racing. Y'all, tonight is going to be a good one. We have Chris Story on for insights into the life of a full time automotive photographer. Rich Guido drops a new video about fuel systems. Eric got a new camera today, which is so exciting. And we're unveiling the shirt for the circuit. Plus, we have an opportunity for you to pre order some hoodies if you want to. And already backstage, Mr. Pat Cook, the gentleman that is best known for riding a Honda Grom on drag and drive events. I'm not talking like just weekend stuff like the circuit, which he's done. I'm talking about full blown Rocky Mountain Race Week, 1,200 plus miles on a Honda Grom. Pretty intense, and I can't wait to hear some of the stories. We have a lot of that coming up. So I'm going to kick off the intro video here, and then we're going to get this thing started.
We're gonna pack things up and hit the road and try to make it the next day.
All right, guys. So Eric just messaged me, said he is only a few minutes out, maybe 5, maybe 6 minutes out. So surely I can handle this while we wait for him. Well, guys, if you don't know, my name is Mike Narks. I am the host of the Drag Driver Pete Show and the Drag Driver Pete News, which happens on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. Oh, I see Eric blinking in here in the back. Dude, perfect timing sliding in here. I'm going to add you to the stage right now. Dude, working on some intros. So also I'm the host and promoter of the circuit Drag and Drive, which happens April 18th through April 21st at Mocan Dragway and Ozark Raceway Park. I can't wait, dude. We're really, really close to this thing, and I'm getting anxious, man. So introduce yourself, tell them what you got going on, and all that fun stuff.
I am Eric White, and I'm exhausted. It's been a crazy little bit. I do graphic design work. I'm a photographer,
Yeah,
videographer, content creator, you name it. I do a little bit of everything, and then
yeah.
I've got my own channel, which is 815 LSX Swaps.
Yeah, dude. And I was just telling them we're going to talk about it in a minute, but you got a new camera, so it's going to be exciting to talk about as well. And guys, we're going to get this thing kicked off. Well, we can't do this without our race car friends, without you guys at home watching this and hitting the share button. Please do that for us right now. Listen, you make it all possible. I'm telling you, as I was working through my tax stuff last night at 1 a.m., I was like, man, I'm thankful that I have race car friends out there in the world that make this possible for me. And guys, we can't do it without our sponsors. Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Car Change 3D, Howard's Cams, Performer Built Transmissions, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk. Can't do without those. And our newest media partner, PowerTube TV, which you can watch this and other exclusive stuff on PowerTube TV anytime. They have an app on for your TV or your phone, and you can find them on the YouTube channel as well. All righty, dude, let's get into this thing, man. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. Well, Summit Racing's speed legacy began in 1968 as a one-man startup and is now the world's speed shop with 4 facilities and 200 plus catalog editions. Fueling your passion, they save you money, deliver fast, and offer top-notch customer service for more than 1,500 brands. You hear that? 1,500. In 2014, they launched the Summit Racing mobile app for easy access to speed parts. Find them on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube And you can find them on the On All Cylinders podcast, which we've actually featured quite a few stories here lately for more automotive discussions, kind of like what you're watching now. From humble origins to the social media lane, Summit Racing has your or stands by your need for speed. Well, dude, let's kick into some driven racing oil event updates. We're going to start the show off with this tonight. We got Carolina Drag Cruise and the Road Trip Drag Challenge starting off this weekend. Like the first weekend of April, we are entering the busy season of drag. Excuse me, of drag and drive. Wow.
Yeah,
Just
it's gonna
woke
get
up there, man. I
crazy.
was excited.
It's gonna get crazy this month.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty intense. Again, we talked about it last week, but we have 7 episodes that are going to or 7 events that are happening this month across the world. We have 2 weekends where there's an event in the US and Australia. So we have this weekend, of course, Carolina Drag Cruise and Road Trip Drag Challenge. Then, in 2 weeks, essentially, we have the circuit, obviously, the circuit is what we are talking about just a minute ago, and the Central Victorian Drag and Drive going on the same weekend. Plus, there's 650 classes at both. So we're going to do some back and forth trash talk between all the competitors. So it's going to be kind of fun. We're going to explain that fully next week whenever we kick this whole thing off. And dude, tell us about this new camera. I don't have a picture of it, so I'm going to pull us both back up. But tell us about this new camera you got.
Yeah, so as everybody knows, I've been kind of on Facebook asking for suggestions. People that know me in real life know that I don't like to spend a lot of money, so I try to find the best deal that I can. And off of the post that I had made, I don't know, last weekend, looking for suggestions on a camera, a buddy of mine said that his cousin had a camera for sale, who I actually happened to work with as well. And so I hit him up and ended up purchasing a camera today. So it's a Sony A6400. It's a mirrorless camera. It's got 2
Nice.
lenses. Comes with a bag, a microphone, and I think that's about it. But seemed like a good deal, and I'm excited to use it. I've used Nikons, I've used Canons, I've never used a Sony, but just taking a few pictures with it today, it seems like it's going to be pretty sweet.
Dude,
Also does 4K video, so I can take pictures, and then if I want to do some video recording while we're at the circuit, I can do a little bit of all that.
did you just say if you want to? I think we know the answer to that. We know you're probably gonna. Dude,
Yeah,
that's so cool, man. I'm really excited for you about that because that's been one thing that has maybe lacked in your arsenal is that dedicated camera that belongs to Eric. Now you've taken some high quality cameras on trips with us before, but they've been borrowed or
yeah,
I guess probably borrowed all the time. But
yeah.
yeah, I'm really excited about this for you. I think it's gonna be awesome.
Yep, and I think it'll be a decent camera to grow into. I mean, I can get
Yeah.
different lenses. The zoom lens doesn't zoom as much as what I wanted, but there's always more lenses, so I can get,
Yeah.
a better zoom lens down the road. But I think what I got will do just fine for the circuit.
I think it'll be perfect, and it'll give you an opportunity to take 1,000 pictures in 3 days, and you'll see if you like it or not.
Oh yeah, that's 100% correct.
Yeah, yeah. So it's going to be kind of fun. All right, well, let's unveil probably one of the coolest things that we've seen. I want to give a huge shout out to the group or to Karen and the team at Gapt, the great apparel printing and design company. This is the 3rd year, maybe 4th year that we've used them for the shirts for any kind of event stuff we've done or anything like that, and they've knocked it out of the park. So I want to bring that up on screen right now. This is probably one of the coolest designs we've had. You can see the Route 66 there in the back. You can see what looks like an old service station there within the word circuit. I think that's whoever designed this primo stuff there. I love it. And again, the reason we choose these 2 cars are they are the fastest 1/8 mile and fastest 1/4 mile cars on the event, not on the property, but of the event, right? So whoever is fastest for 2024 will be on the shirts for 2025. Now, here's the deal. I know one of these cars is not going to be on the shirt for 2025 because that person's not coming. And I think the timing worked out perfect there with the so Jay and Brian will be coming. Y'all, this shirt's going to be awesome. I can't wait to have it in my hand and see this thing. We're going to talk about it a bunch. This is a big deal for us. I mean, this is a lot of investment goes into this, and you know the deal with drag and drive events, the racer and co-pilot get shirts as well. We'll have shirts that will be available for sale at the event, and then maybe we'll offer something after that. But if you look on the right part of your screen there, you can actually see the hoodie, right? Those aren't going to be available at the event. One, because they're just so expensive to buy in quantity, right?
Yeah.
So the team at Great Apparel Printing and Design, Get Gapped, has been gracious enough to set us up a store. So I'm actually going to drop that link into the comments right now, and I'll put it in the description of these videos later. But you can actually go onto their site and you can order a hoodie directly from them. They once they print them, which is the plan for next week, they're going to print all these shirts and hoodies. They will send it out directly from Gapped. So that'll be a huge win for all of us, all of you folks at home that want to order a hoodie. You can do it that way. They will not offer t-shirts like that until after the event. So you can't order t-shirts from there, but you can order this hoodie. Here's the deal. It's only good for 4 days. So it'll only be good for a few days from now. This really just kind of happened. So it's only good until April 7th to get your order in. Again, the link is in the chat or in the description down below. This thing is going to be so cool. So cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to have this in my hand. I just can't wait.
Yeah, and I can tell you from the little bit of experience I have doing some graphic design stuff, that takes some time to build a
Yeah.
graphic like that.
Yeah. I mean, an artist will spend, several days on something like this. I can only imagine. So,
Yeah,
because I
but
know
it
I
turned
couldn't
out
do
great.
anything like that. Yeah. I'm so excited about all the colors in it, how bright it is. And just, they really, my whole thing was use these two cars, and I want Route 66 because we're traveling on it again. I want an old gas station, and I want something nobody else has.
Yeah.
And I think they delivered highly on it. I really like the use of like the black and white on the bottom for the logos. So it's not too much pop, man. It's just perfect. It's perfect.
Yep. Yep,
So
absolutely.
yep. So we'll have those obviously at the circuit event. So we will be Friday at Mocan Dragway, Saturday at Ozark Raceway Park in Springfield, and then Sunday at Mocan Dragway again. That's April 18th or April 19th, 20th, and 21st.
So if people order the hoodie, will they get the hoodie in time for the circuit?
Possibly, depending on where they live. So,
Okay.
if she can get them all printed, I would think they can get them all printed. They're a huge facility, but they can print them next week, and then say they could get them out on Friday, and you live relatively close. Pat Cook he probably won't get his because he lives almost 900 miles from the circuit, but he probably wouldn't get his in time for him to leave on Wednesday coming this way. So,
Well,
but most folks would.
yeah, I can tell you, regardless of what the weather is gonna be, you should probably bring a hoodie because we've seen what happened last year.
Yeah, yeah. Even though it said it was going to be 75, the temp dropped about 40 degrees in about 8 minutes. So
Yeah.
yeah, pretty crazy. We're fingers crossed we're not going to have any kind of weather like that. And again, 3 days in this part of the country. If it rains one day, it's most likely not going to rain the other two. So
Well,
hey,
I can tell you here, when I got up this morning, the grass was covered with snow. It snowed all morning, and right now there is absolutely zero snow on the ground. So that's what it's like to live in Illinois.
wow. This Facebook user says I can help bring them to the circuit if Karen has them ready by Wednesday. Oh, okay. That may work as well. The Facebook user part there is actually that's someone within our Drag Drive Repeat Race Car Friends Facebook group. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the description, you should be able to give StreamYard permission to use your name. That's
You,
one of the biggest deals with groups.
yeah, you mean that group that we just hit 1,000 members in?
Yeah, that group.
That group?
Yeah, that group. Yeah, that one that we hit 1,000 a couple days ago. All right, and then one of the most exciting things, I can't wait. I'm so giddy. I actually talked to Donna today from Chicken Annie's, setting in that we're gonna have dude, I think we're gonna have 150 people here.
That's gonna be wild.
It's gonna be crazy. So I made a post this morning asking who else coming, and at that point there was like 91 or something like that people that I quickly counted through the responses to that. So if it's 91, that's definitely going to be people that, there are going to be people that do not see that post that are coming.
Yeah.
To say that's a long way around there. This should be pretty awesome. Again, this is the Chicken Annie's original. That's the key phrase there, original, because there are two Chicken Annie's in Pittsburgh, Kansas. One is in town and kind of like a fast food small restaurant, and then this other one is just gangster, 6 foot tall rooster in the walkway when you come in. And we have the entire lounge. They serve drinks if you would like them. It is a cash bar, so you're going to pay for your own drinks in there. But we're going to take care of dinner. We're going to have fried chicken. We're going to have mashed potatoes. We're going to have green beans. We're going to have slaw, and we're going to have German potato salad, whatever that means. I don't know.
Nice.
But I'm really excited to try it. It's probably the best fried chicken I've ever had ever. And I'm an adult man that's 43 years old. I've eaten some fried chicken.
Yeah, it was
So,
it was definitely good when we were there last year.
yeah. Yeah, this is going to be awesome. And I really feel like this is going to be a fun time for all of the racers and all of the crew members and things like that to just come in, one, to get a good meal before the event kicks off. But then two, really introduce yourself, talk to people that you may not have ever talked to before. And it's going to be laid back. We're not going to be trying to get our cars ready that morning or anything like that. So, I want everybody to be around. I want you to hang out 6 to 10. This should be pretty easy to do. We're going to roll out the food in two different runs because we didn't want all of the food at one time. So we're going to do it at 7 and then again at 8 for another serving. So that way, if folks show up late or they don't get in line or they don't get parked right, yeah, I mean, Eric's going to be late for sure. Because you got 9 hours to drive to get down here. So,
9 hours, and it's my wife's birthday.
well, happy birthday, honey. I'm leaving.
Yep.
That's a great present for her, man. So this is going to be really fun. Again, 6 to 10, 2 rounds of food. We should have plenty of food to handle everybody that's going to be there, and we're going to have a blast.
Yep, I think it is going to be a good time. And I
Yeah,
should be there. I should be there in that 6 to 10 window, but it'll probably be towards later end of it
yeah.
because we're
No
going to do
worries.
breakfast that morning. We're going to do breakfast before I take off.
There you go. Yep, breakfast, and then you're going to drive 87 miles an hour south, almost directly south, coming from Illinois to here. So,
Yeah, Jay says they got 11 hours plus fuel stops.
phew, man, it's going to be brutal. Well, Rick Dodge is flying in to here on Thursday morning, and so him and I, the plan currently, unless he has delays or something like that within his flight, we're going to leave. I'll pick him up at the airport here close to me, and then him and I will drive north, and we will actually. My hope is to drop the trailer of merch and all the equipment, things like that, at the track, and then him and I'll run up to C-Tech, which is the school that Felicia Smith was talking about. So we hope to run up there and allow those kids to, meet a dude that works with the NHRA and all these events and is a tech. He does all of that kind of stuff. So not necessarily that they want to, just because you're into cars doesn't mean you have to work on cars all the time. Doesn't mean you have to sell cars, which is what we'll talk about in a minute with one of the other podcasts I listen to. But this is. I hope this is going to be an opportunity for those kids to learn. Plus, those kids are coming out Friday, so this will give them a good chance to meet Rick, and then Friday they can hang out with him and see what he does and goes through and looks at bars and all that kind of stuff for all the cars and all the classes. So that'll be kind of cool.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I wish I was able to get there a little sooner because I think that'd be cool to check out, but be a good experience for all those kids. And then we'll obviously get to see them on Friday.
Yep, that's for sure. All right, and then let's move to the Howard's Cam community segment. Do you want to run us through that real quick?
Yep. Howard's Cam was founded as a racing cam manufacturer almost 80 years ago when Howard Johnson created Howard's Power and Racing Equipment in 1945. Howard's Cam has always used on track experience to design the most powerful designs. Today, they have an even greater group of experienced racers in circle track, drag race, road race, mud bog, and marine. They use all this input plus the most advanced computer software to design the most competitive race winning products. From pioneers in drag racing and oval track to cutting edge marine development, Howard's Cam is at the forefront of the industry. Howard's Cam is our valve train sponsor of Drag Drive Repeat. So make sure you reach out to our buddy Luke B for any upgrades that you need to your valve train.
Yeah, you want to go faster? He's a dude. You want to drive better? He's the guy. You need anything? He's your man. It's making weird noises. He can fix it. All right. Well, Mr. Rich Guido dropped a new video on the channel. Drag and drop fuel tips. This was filled with tons of great stuff. Thought this video was really, really good. You can see there. Rewatching rewatching it again, trying to get some tips. I don't need any tips for making 1500 horsepower because I'm not going to do that. But there's a lot of really, really good stuff in that video, and I definitely want folks to be watching that because Rich is really dropping some knowledge there, man. Really dropping
Mhm.
knowledge in this thing. So I'm hoping that he stays with it and we can learn, and then the people will use this to build their own 1500 horsepower, big block Pontiac turbo setup. And then next up is voting for Sick Week. USA Today. Did you see this?
I
Top 10
did.
motorsports events, bro.
That's incredible.
Yeah, pretty amazing. And we all know Sick Week was a blast. It was a lot of fun. You can vote daily during the month of April. And as of last night, late, I think it was 10 or 11 o'clock, they were still in first place. Now, the month is really long. So here's the deal. I'm sure there's folks that will begin pouring support on as the month gets in there. So we need to vote early and often and just crush their dreams
Yeah.
to think that they could be Sick Week and the Drag and Drive community. We're a large enough community that we can surely make a huge dent. And if it doesn't finish first, it's at least on the list. So that's a huge win for
100%.
everybody within the Drag and Drive community. Because as somebody said last week, there's guys that still don't even know about Drag and Drive.
Yeah. 100%.
Blows my mind.
Did
Blows
you
my mind.
uh did you see Tom's post today talking about drag and drive crossing the border?
I did not.
Yep, he made a post. Obviously, everybody saw the April Fool's post about going international, but
Yep.
he said that was a spark from some ideas they had. So for 2025, one of their one-off events, they're talking about going from the US to Canada and then back to the US, which is something you
Wow.
and I have talked about on here before. Like,
Yeah.
would that ever happen? And it sounds like there's a potential that it could happen in 25.
Yeah, that could be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Man, that
My
you
fear
better
would
get
be
your
border
stuff right.
control. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and not necessarily getting into Canada, getting out.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, "Hey, this car's kinda cool, maybe it needs to stay here."
Yeah. And then how do you inventory everything that's in your trailer to, because they check like what you bring back and everything. So that'd be my
Oof.
one big concern. But if they can pull it off, that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, I think that'd be awesome. Plus, I mean, I love where all of this is going. I love that there are thoughts. We're expanding Drag and Drive every event. Everything is looking at things differently. Every promoter is looking at different ways to bring more people into the community, but also put their own spin on it. I mean, shoot, there's 36 events this year. Like, it's
Yeah.
just crazy. All right. Well, I don't know if everybody follows Clay Millican or not, and I know he's not Drag and Drive yet, but he's going to be, and he's going to do it in Dentley, which is why this video is relevant.
Yeah.
Well, he lives around Memphis, Tennessee. They're a little north of Memphis, and so Holly Springs, Mississippi, is just south of him. And he loaded Dentley up and went down and raced Donkmaster's wife and several other donks. Now, well, he didn't really race a bunch of other donks, but he definitely raced Donkmaster's wife in her Camaro, and she smoked his ass. Uh,
Really?
yeah, Dentley spun and she did not, and it was pretty interesting. Great race. I don't know if anybody knows this, but I like donks. I think that's really a cool build style. I don't know if I'll ever have one. It's hard. It would be hard for me to spend like 5 grand on a set of 26s, but
Yeah.
man, you know what I mean? But really fun to watch that video. Really interesting to see him, going around the pits, talking to other racers and all that kind of stuff. So highly recommend you follow Clay Millican's channel
Yeah.
because at some point he's going to do a drag and drive.
Yeah. And he's a great guy to listen to. Like, he's so
Yeah.
knowledgeable. And, even us talking to him at PRI, he's so down to earth.
Yeah.
I like listening to his voice and kind of watching his videos.
Yeah. Yeah. He has a blast in everything he does, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, Next up, now I don't know if Eric saw any of this, but this local outlaw track from me just reopened, been closed for like 2 years. And a group has come in, a local group of racers has come in and purchased it and are planning to open it up this season. So this is
Wow.
pretty amazing. So Sallisaw, Oklahoma had a eighth mile track for a long time. It has hosted some really big, outlaw, no prep, small tire races, all that kind of stuff, that whole group setting. Well, a circuit competitor, Mr. Uh, Brad Phillips, messaged me the other day and said, "You're not going to believe what just happened." And he's already starting to trying to figure out where they could do some drag and drive stuff surrounding the Sallisaw, Oklahoma track. This is a big deal. So if you are wanting to support tracks being reopened, this is a great one to do. So you can search for Wilsey's Outlaw Drag Strip on Facebook. They're building it all out. This track has gone through many, many hands over the years, but one family owned it and were very hard to deal with based on everything I've seen and heard of. They have now sold it, and this guy who is a longtime racer is now owning it. And based on the team that I think he has with him, this should work out pretty well.
That's cool.
Yeah, pretty.
Anytime that a anytime that a track can reopen, that's always a win.
Yeah, and it has a really good feel. Like my dad and I went down. I mean, this has been 5 years ago, 6 years ago that him and I went down to watch a race down there. I think it was Dig or Die or something like that. Maybe one of the first events of that, and it's freaking crazy. And Brandon Parker here, yeah, that's pretty close to him too. So that'll be right down the street from him. So that'll be a huge win. And there are tracks within reason that I think we could probably put together a good weekend event. This one here is probably actually close enough if we wanted to do a really big circuit, uh, work around that, but we'd have to add a day in there to hit another track as well, just because I think it's too far from Mocan to get here or to get to Mocan to Sallisaw back. Be pretty far, be almost double the mileage of what we did last year. So
Oh wow.
yeah, yeah. So long ways. Last little bit here. Last topic is kind of a big one. So Hemmings runs a hot rod barbecue podcast with Mike Musto as the host of it, and he had Bill Bader Sr. on, the owner of Norwalk and the Summit Racing Motorsports Park. This episode, I'm telling you, I've listened to it 3 times. I was just hammering Eric with notes from it the entire time. There are a lot of really, really good tidbits in that. I highly recommend you go in there. I should have grabbed the link to it, but search Hemmings or search Hot Rod Barbecue Podcast on YouTube or your favorite YouTube app or favorite podcast app. One thing he did say that I thought was really good. He said, a ticket here is much more than a pit pass. Now we've heard people say that a whole lot. People have used that as an example for drag racing forever, but it's really a lot more than that. Like it's 10 hours of interactive experience is literally how Mike put this on. It was really one of the coolest ways to explain it is because if you are at a race, it's a learning experience because you can walk around, you can talk to racers and builders and event staff and racer staff. You can do all of that there. I thought that was really cool. And one of the things that Bill said, he was like, imagine being able to go to the locker room of your favorite, you know, stick and ball team, whatever, football, baseball, basketball, whatever, being able to go to the locker room and talk to those folks. Like you could go in and talk to those pros, right? Well, you can't do that. You can't get up next to LeBron because you bought a ticket that was
Right.
20 bucks or 30 bucks. And one of the other things he talked about was during a game, it's 3 hours, but you've got the hour beforehand where you park and you walk a mile and you go through all that stuff. You're ushered to your seat. You sit down unless you need to go to the bathroom or get a drink. Then you come right back to your seat and you're watching 3 hours of a game that's probably 50 bucks to buy a ticket for, or you can go racing for 30 bucks and then you're set. You can go in there, you can spend 10 hours and talk to as many people as you want because a professional racer is just like an amateur racer, just like a hobbyist racer. We just want to talk about our cars, man.
Right.
Just want to talk about our cars. One of the other cool points they made as well was you'll never ever be able to play on the same field as the professional football players. I mean, let's be
That's
honest,
accurate.
right? But you can go race on the same track that professional racers race on. Like,
Yep.
that's probably what makes our sport one of the coolest sports out there. Plus, if you're into drag and drive like we are, you can go drive next to that dude. I mean,
Yeah.
think about the let's take this off here real quick. Jeff Lutz, the Jeff Lutz was on sick week. Okay.
Yep.
That dude had to get gas, that dude had to eat. That means people that watch that dude on TV, some of them probably got gas next to Jeff Lutz. Some of
Yep.
them probably ate with Jeff Lutz. Same thing with Alex Taylor, same thing with Tom Bailey. Like, you can cruise around and do all I mean, like, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
And you can walk up just about any time during the event and talk to them.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not going to walk up to the, in the middle of a basketball or football game and start talking to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Not
No.
going to happen.
No, not at all. And you're not gonna be able to, like, get a selfie with that dude while he's all suited up, ready to go in like you can if you're walking the lanes there,
Yep.
when they're moving up. Pretty cool stuff. It was really a good podcast. It got me very excited, if you can't tell already. It got me very excited about the sport and just kind of where it's going, who is thinking. I mean, these are guys that are in high level. Bill Bader Senior's he's the man. Like, that dude knows a lot, owns a lot, talks to a lot of people, has one of the nicest tracks in the country, probably in the world. And I mean, this guy is just talking about how much he enjoys drag racing and the drag racing community, and I loved it. So if you have that chance, go in there and do that. One other thing I thought he talked about: there are only 32 professional football games a year. There's 100 race days between April and October, just at the Summit Racing Motorsports Park.
Yep.
So I'm, of course, had to message Mocan. How many race days do you guys have? They have 80 plus race days at Mocan Dragway.
Heck yeah.
Dude, so, like, once you start announcing it, Byron will be able to, like, I mean, like, think about that. You guys that live close to Byron, Illinois, could go over there, and Eric would gladly bring you up in the tower to talk to you.
Oh,
Right?
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, where else could you do that? You're not gonna go up in the Fox Tower and talk about football.
Yeah. They're
You
not
may
going to
be
let
the
you anywhere
biggest
close to that.
Yeah, you may be the biggest fan in the world, but you're never gonna get a chance to talk up there. But you could message Eric and go, "Hey, dude, can I come up and tell a story?" Yes.
Yep.
How crazy is that? That's maybe we don't look at drag racing as exclusive enough. Maybe it really is. Maybe we really do need to take some of that stuff away from people and then see. Oh man,
Nah.
nah, you're right. You're right. One thing one other thing they talked about during the podcast was opportunities for careers within motorsports. Not just sales or sponsorships or anything, but track engineering, fabrication, the accounting side of stuff, like all of the things that go along with running a regular business, but you can do that within the motorsports community. So a lot of folks, get a good job and use that money to go racing. That good job could be racing. You
Right.
could be a part of the team, and you
Yeah.
can
I
see
mean,
there's. Go ahead.
look at Motion. I mean, they've just hired two recently, like, racers to come be a part of their team.
Yeah, yeah,
Who,
it's
who,
exactly right.
who was it they announced today? Was it Jim Braun?
Oh man, really? I didn't see it.
Oh, I
Uh,
think I think they announced that today that he joined the team now
uh,
too,
See, yep. So they got
which is
Brett,
just cool. Yep.
then the gym.
Yeah.
Yep, that's pretty awesome.
So there's
That
there's all kinds of, like you said, opportunities in the sport in general. And there's so many different, like you said, with the kids in school, like, it doesn't have to be working on the cars. There's so many
Yep,
motorsports related opportunities that, I think
yep.
I think people forget that.
Well, and one of the things I sold cars for 15 years before doing any of this stuff, and that was one of the reasons I sold cars was because everybody's like, "Oh, you like cars, you should sell cars."
Yeah.
Dude, if I had the thought process to do anything else with cars other than selling them, um, who knows where I would be right now.
Yeah.
But I did it for a long time. Met my wife, 2 kids. It's a great story. Great life. Love you, honey. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunity out there, and especially right now. These companies and these businesses are all they're growing
Yeah.
exponentially because cars are cool.
Yep. Chris
Great.
Story's got my back here. He said it was Jim and it's on the TBM side.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Awesome. All right. Well, let's thank Molly, and then let's talk about our co-pilot spotlight for this week.
All right, attention high performance enthusiasts and sportsman class racers. Meet the Molly Motorsports Power Pack Kit, your ultimate solution for power packed performance. The Power Pack pistons are made from either 4032 aluminum alloy to allow for tighter cylinder to wall clearances and improved temperature stability, or 2618 alloy to allow for increased detonation resistance. Tailored for various engine families from small block Chevy to Volkswagen and Audi, they've got you covered. What sets them apart? It's forged pistons, graphite coating, and phosphate treatment for peaked performance and durability. Elevate your ride with Molly Motorsports, where performance meets precision. Unleash the power within. Visit mollymotorsports.com for more details. And for those listening on the podcast, Molly is spelled Mahle.
That's right. Well, we've been featuring these folks on Saturdays, and the reason we're talking about it tonight is because Brian Robbins was supposed to be on, but unfortunately had something come up at the last minute, so we have rescheduled him till after the circuit. So you can take the opportunity, you can tell your co-pilot stories. I'm putting the link in the chat, and I'll also put it down in the description, and we're going to make another post for later tonight that'll come up. But we're going to talk fully about this on Saturday. This Saturday's feature will be Kanan Hall's story of his co-pilot Tessa. In response to a time the co-pilot saved the day, Kanan says, pushing me to make a track bar change to keep from spinning. It's a real pain to do. We did the change and it didn't spin. And he set a new personal best.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
come on. Come on. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about right there. And then one of the greatest co pilots to ever do this is Mr. Brian Robbins. And if y'all didn't know, the reason we're talking about him is because I picked up this magazine a couple months ago. This is April 2000 of Hot Rod Magazine. Okay.
24 years ago.
Ugh, dude, when I put the April and April together, I was like, man, that's crazy. Plus, it's the fastest streetcars in America. Okay. That's why I picked this up and gave $2 for it, was because of the fastest streetcars in America. Right. So big right up in the middle. I have these pictures here pulled up if you want to, if you don't want to look at them there in the shiny reflection. But this is actually in the magazine. Now, there's been several people saying that, oh man, I may have that article. It's really pretty cool. One thing I wanted to know from Brian, and that's what we're going to get to when he comes on, is how this came about. I want to know how, because they really don't talk about this at all. It just, these are the top 10 fastest street cars in America, and he's number 3 in this Nova that's right here.
Hmm.
And of course, we were going to ask him tonight, hey, what was the setup on that? What was the story? So again, he sends it over, saying he'll tell us the full story later on. But it's a 526 cubic inch Chevrolet 18-degree Dart Big Chief heads cast iron block 1471. You hear that? Cabelco high helix Superman supercharger.
I
Dude,
like it,
yeah. He said it's a Crowder 3-disc clutch and a Linko 3-speed.
which is
Pretty
cool.
freaking awesome. Yeah. It's all built and maintained in house. Thought that was kind of neat. That's what
Yeah,
he does. He's kind of awesome. And he says the car is still being raced and resides near the St. Lawrence Seaway in Canada.
that's super
Cool, is
cool.
it? Dude. I mean, that like this article's 24 years old. This
Right.
magazine's 24 years old. You know what I mean? That's why. So I think as part of, I'm gonna start digging through the old hot rod magazines and carcraft magazines that I have, and see if we have some maybe like drag week stuff, or fastest in America, all that kind of stuff. So I can't wait to hear the full story on how long he had this car, what he did to it, all that kind of stuff. So if you haven't done it yet, jump over to the Molly Motorsports co-pilot spotlight. Tell us about your co-pilot. We want to know. Give us the time they saved the day, and give us the time they ruined the day.
Yeah.
There's some good stories there. We are going to start working through those, and obviously we want to feature one of those a week, and we write an article around it, and just kind of give that person some love. So appreciate everybody that has submitted that. And again, we'll talk Saturday morning about Kanan Hall's story.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool segment. I'm glad we were able to get that set up because I think it's going to allow for a lot of people that maybe don't get the spotlight to get a chance to get recognized for the stuff that they do that is important in the drag and drive
Yep.
event.
Well, I mean, obviously the racer gets a ton of accolades because they're the racer of the car. So
Yeah.
that's the way it works. All righty. You want to thank our folks here while I get things set up for Chris?
Yep, absolutely. So we're going to take a chance to thank all the race car friends. Again, we say it all the time, but we truly cannot do this without everybody that supports us. We appreciate each and every one of you, as well as our sponsors. So Summit Racing, Driven Racing Oil, Molly Motorsports, Car Chains 3D, Howard's Cam, Performabuilt Transmission, Sweet Patina Racing Junk, and our newest media partner, Power Tube TV.
Yep, that's exactly right. All right, Chris, you ready? Give us a thumbs up if you're ready. He said, "Bring it on, friends." We'll do the gentleman's agreement here in just a little bit. Let's bring this guy on, Mr. Chris Story. Uh-oh, hang on, dude. We got to fix the. There we go. How about that? Hi, sir. How are you?
Who's
Good.
that
How are
guy?
you guys?
Oh man,
Right?
we're doing awesome.
It's coming
Yes,
back. All right. Don't worry.
man. I was nervous for a minute, to be honest with you. If you
I
guys
got
didn't know, yeah, Chris buzzed his mustache, and it made everybody cry.
yeah. I got a few phone calls, a few wellness checks, but we're all good.
That's awesome. All right. Well, let's talk about. I want to start out. I want to talk about the picture that's behind your head
Yeah.
because
Cool.
this is a really cool one. That's a cool one. I love the tattoo, the work harder tattoo, and man, just tell us kind of who took that shot, where it came from, and about that.
So that was at TX2K. That was Mr. Scott Whitty took that photo.
Dang.
The goat. He won't say it, but it's
Yeah.
true.
You can. You can.
Um,
It definitely is.
yeah, yeah. But no, that was at TX2K. I think he wanted this photo of like, me 3/4 shooting a subject with the tattoo in frame. So it was really
Yes.
cool. Obviously, it's one of my favorite photos besides the pizza one as of right
Yeah.
now. Favorite photos of myself, but yeah, no, that was from TX2K. TX2K was a fantastic time.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
let's back up almost a year
okay,
before we get into it because we want to talk about Texas 2K for a little bit, right? So you have a
yeah,
lot of really good stories there. I don't want to jump around. So the reason you're on tonight and the reason we're talking about this because we're tying you back to the circuit, and I don't know
mhm.
if people have seen this or not, but you put up 883 pictures in an album on your Facebook page of the circuit 2023,
Yep,
bro.
yeah.
Killer stuff. Looking back, I think it's the most pictures in any album on your Facebook page, and we appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, I think Sick Week probably has you beat out, but Sick Week is also 5 freaking days. Man, I really love the circuit and I love everybody at the circuit. And so and you've been gracious enough to make me the official photographer now for I think this will be the 3rd year.
Yeah, yeah,
Um and normally when I'm covering an event, I have so many photo package people that I follow around, but when I have the freedom to just cover the event, well, something like 880 photos in 3 days happens. So
yeah. Pretty intense, man. It was really cool to be able to go back to that. I don't know if you know this or not. I mean, you and I have talked about this, but Eric and I have used a ton of the photos from this on a lot of the artwork and things like that, and it's really helped. Just push it that much further. And
yeah.
dude, I just want to say thanks for that. I want to know what your plans are for 2024. Like what's your strategy going into this event in 2 weeks?
For the circuit,
Yeah.
so the circuit, so this year specifically, I will have my wife with me. So not only are we going to be doing like photo coverage, but we'll be posting 2 to 3 reels per day that are just solely
Yeah.
circuit based. And then on top of that, we'll be filming on the YouTube channel as well. So we're gonna do like a POV thing, and then I was intending on surprising you with a recap video, but I guess I'll just tell you about it.
Yay! That's
So we'll
awesome.
be doing stuff along the sorts there. my wife is crucial for that piece of
Yep.
content to happen because she'll be filming most of that while I do a lot of the photo coverage.
Yeah.
And really, it's
Well,
just have a damn
thank you.
good time. Yeah,
Dude,
no problem, dude.
I'm so ready. Like, I can't wait. I can't wait. It's crazy to think that there's like 15 media people that are going to be there.
Dude,
Like,
there's gonna be so many pictures. It's gonna
oh,
be great.
Yeah, yeah,
bring it on.
yeah. And that was something else I was going to say. Is like this will be the first time that we've really had more than just me in me and you in a long time. You know, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm real excited to see the kind of media that comes out from this event. But we got a lot of really cool people coming, a lot of really
Yeah.
cool names, a lot of names that you and I know of, but nobody else does yet, and
Yep.
a bunch of
Yep.
cool stuff. So I'm
I
really,
hope we
really,
can,
really excited.
right? I hope we can kind of elevate some folks with all the stuff we'll be talking. I mean, you just think about like if everybody can put out, say everybody puts out 150 photos and there's 12 media teams, dude, that's 1,800 photos just from the event. And we know people are going to put out more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's pretty crazy. One thing I do want to give you a big shout out for is your help with Johnny Allen. You know,
Mhm.
young kid coming up, wanting to do he's wanting to do automotive photography. And every time him and I talk, he mentions you somehow. Somehow you've helped him. Somehow you've done this. Somehow you've done that. Oh man, Chris. So, dude, huge accolades to you. Huge pat on the back for you for helping so many other folks and being open and willing to do that. Yeah, yeah.
I ask him
Yeah.
questions all the time.
And absolutely, if anybody watching has any media related questions, I'm considered open source. Like I have no secrets. I don't gatekeep, as the kids say these days. I don't think that there's enough people doing what I do. I mean, obviously there's not. There's a crazy amount of demand. Now there's a lot of media people, right? But there's not a lot
Yep,
that are willing to commit the time to do it full time or
yep.
can't commit the time to do it full time. And so if I can help anybody do that, it inherently helps me, and I'm all here for it. Like, yeah,
Right?
Johnny Allen's, he's man, that kid works harder than any kid his age
Yep,
that I know of, and he's got a good eye, and he just needs a little bit of like tweaking here and there, and I
yep.
think he'll be something great. And I hope to be a small piece of his large story because I'm sure he'll outgrow me any day
Well,
now. So
right. And so you start thinking about like at 13, I think is when I met him. If you started at 25 taking photos and you do 20 years, you're going to be 45, right? He
yeah,
starts at 13 and spends 20 years. He's 33. Dude, that's a big swing.
Yeah.
That's a
yeah,
big
huge
swing
swing.
to be able to do that. So that's pretty cool. Well, I have a note here, if you wanted to give 2 or 3 tips for some, automotive or motorsports photographers, we definitely take it. And then I wanna talk about some stuff that I'm going to implement for, the circuit on my side and be kind of a jackass about.
Cool. Tips. So, okay. So the few big things that come to mind are stand up because car designers didn't design cars to be looked at from the ground. So stand up. Like
Okay.
don't like obviously get a few low shots. Like everybody likes a good low shot, but for the most
Yep.
part, stand up a little bit. Baby face. uh, and then
That's a
leave
good one.
like let the photo breathe. So what a lot of people do is like if the bumper of the car's here and the rear bumper of the car's here, they'll frame it to where there's maybe like a millimeter on each end. Open it up. Like we want to see the whole picture. Like the photo that's behind me is a great example. Like obviously I'm the subject, but there's also another strong element on the other corner. Um,
Mhm.
which brings me into like the rule of thirds, which is like the most basic photography rule. And understanding the rule of thirds and subject placement is huge. It's a make or break deal because a lot of the times, a lot of the stuff that I see is like dead in the middle, either too low or always low. No movement, no nothing. So those are the big three that I see often.
Nice. Well, let's talk about because you've been a road traveler, man. You've been all over. Where all have you been this year?
This year, I haven't done. We haven't done a whole lot this year quite yet. we went to Florida for Sick Week, obviously, and
Mhm.
then went to South Georgia Motorsports Park, I think 3 times now. So once for Lights Out, there was another radio race out there, and I'm losing the last one, but we've been there 3 times this year. Maybe I'm thinking of Sick Week. Been to Texas Motorplex, I think 4 or 5 times already, not including TX2K. Obviously, TX2K was at Texas Motorplex this year, so that'll be another trip there for that.
Dude, so you haven't been very busy, but you've traveled 8 or 9 weekends of the year so far.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the few weekends, the few times I went to Texas were during the week, so it was like a Tuesday test session and like a Thursday test session.
Oh, nice. Okay, man.
Um, but yeah, so there's a lot of events that I was scheduled to go on and just couldn't make happen, whether
Yep.
it was finances or other outside circumstances. Like,
Yep.
it was supposed to be at Carolina Drag Cruise, and then this weekend I'm supposed to go to like the Freedom Factory for the Freedom 500, and I'm not gonna be able to make that happen.
Dang.
So that's what I mean by like we have a bunch of stuff that we're supposed to be going to and on the schedule and we're supposed to be at, and some of it just doesn't pan out. The slow season's real hard on us because we don't do
Yep.
anything but take photos or edit YouTube videos, and so when the work's not there, the work's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the thing like for us, and I would think probably for you too, is you've got to start figuring out like, is it worthwhile? Like my drive to um, Ringgold, Georgia for the Southeast Gasser event, right? Like it probably didn't need to happen, but if I'm going to be talking about those racers as often as I'm going to be talking about them, I need to go meet them and understand the
Yeah,
story and be in the middle of all that. And so for the drag and drive stuff, it didn't work. It wasn't really that great of content. It's worked on some of our reels and things like that, but I still have 300 and something videos on the big camera that I haven't even touched because we've been so busy with all the other stuff. So,
yep.
it's the same thing. It's like how do you make all make sense,
Yeah, I cut out a bunch of races that I was going to that just wasn't making sense. Like Formula Drift is a huge one that I had to cut out of the schedule. So this will be the first
Dang.
year that I don't have Formula Drift going on. I went to a few rally races and a few like road course races that just weren't really working out. And in the end, for me, it's a business. So
Yep.
whatever isn't, I got to chase the money a little bit, and
Yep.
or really a lot of it. So
Yeah.
um, and realistically, like the drag racers I feel like are the only ones that value our time, media people's time, and are willing to fork over a little bit of cash to do so,
Wow.
and have the cash to fork over. Like
Yeah.
you would think that being at FD with all the big rigs and the crazy race teams and stuff like that there would be more money in it, and the truth is just there just isn't.
Wow.
The demographic of guys that are drifting are guys my age, and guys my age don't have money. Versus the average drag racer,
Yeah.
is pulling a really nice race car trailer with a really nice truck and pulls out a typically really nice race car, and
Yeah.
want and value photos as a memory versus guys my age that
Yep.
don't really care. They want reels and want everything
Yep.
for free.
They're living that life, they're like, "Oh, I'll remember this," and then see, that's what happens. You feel like you're gonna remember it, then in 15 years, you don't remember it, and you're like, "Dang, I should have
Yep.
gave Chris Story some money so
Yep.
he could help me memorialize this." Plus, in a lot greater photo than what I'm going to take from my cell phone that generally, dude, it's so hard to go, like, if I'm trying to find people's stuff to feature them and I go to their page and, like, just like you said, except that the front and rear bumpers of the car are cut off.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, step back 2 steps and
Yeah.
take that
Gotta let
picture,
it. You gotta let it breathe. There's other elements to the photo. A cool car can
Yep,
only be so cool,
yep,
Like,
yep. And a lot
part
of
of what
times
we
they
do is
don't
storytelling.
care. Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's what's, I think that's what's always so much fun. Um, well,
Nice trailer, nice car, money. What's all that? I want to know what that's about.
yeah.
Whatever. Anthony's rich. Don't let him lie to you. Just
Oh,
kidding.
Yeah, he's got all the money. Have you seen his car?
Have you seen his house? No, I'm just kidding.
I have not. I have not.
I'm gonna get a text message over that. I guarantee it.
All right. Well, we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk some about TX2K and tell us a little bit about that experience getting to shoot with 1320.
Man, it was awesome and kind of humbling a little bit too. Kyle, dude, Kyle Loftus is a bad dude. Like not like a mean dude, but like that dude works so freaking hard. It's not even funny. The whole 1320 crew, is lumped into this. But I was really thrown back by Kyle's work ethic and how just open and nice he was to everybody that was around him. But working for 1320 was something that I never once thought would happen. Along with being a full time photographer, it was kind of one of those things that I had on my vision board that was like, maybe it'll happen one day, but I'm content with life if it doesn't. And
Right.
Scott gave me a call and was like, "Hey, Mo can't make it. Can you, come out?" And yeah, no, it was awesome. They work super hard, so it was a little bit of an adjustment.
Tell us how cool it was to see your name down underneath that logo there.
Man, dude, it's a wild feeling because like I said, I never thought that I would ever do that. Like I never thought that I would ever get up to this kind of level to where that was even a possibility. So
Yeah.
when Scott sent me the watermark, like I teared up a little bit. I was just really happy and for the first time in a long time, kind of proud of where I got to.
Yeah.
Because I've had the blinders on for so long, and I forget to take them off and kind of look and be like, oh, we're doing the damn thing. Like it's actually
Yeah.
working out. Because I'm trying to make rent happen. Like
Yeah.
It's hard to take a step back and go, oh, this is happening. Like this is a thing that's actually happening. And so to get the watermark file and to have that first photo that was that had the 1320 photo by Chris Story on it was like super super cool.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And yeah, I don't know how to describe how awesome like of a feeling it was.
Well, let's talk about. So you and I were on the phone, and you were kind of raving about Kyle Loftus. You were
Yeah.
he's so awesome. Give us like a rundown of the day. I think that's probably one thing that blew my mind was how much that dude worked.
So I don't remember which day it was. I think it was Friday, possibly Thursday or Friday. He was out street racing the night before, and he showed up to the track when we were there. I think it was a little bit after we had got there, maybe like 9:30, 10. So he had been street racing all night long. What's that, Adam? Yeah, they've been street racing all night long, and then so that way his guys could sleep. He just picked up the camera first thing in the morning and was filming until like it was late in the evening, like 4 or 5 p.m. Like the dude had stayed up like 20 plus hours and was just filming, running the crew. Like to be fair, that the crew runs very hands off. Like the Kyle doesn't really have. There's no babysitting involved, if you will. Like
Well,
everybody knows their job, and
Scott's been doing that with them. I think 8 or 9 years, something like that. So he kind of has a pretty good idea of stuff.
13. He's been with the company 13 years. Yeah,
Wow.
wild. But yeah, no, and huge props to Scott Whitty because that dude also like works hard as shit. Like there's not a lot of guys, and I somewhat pride myself on my work ethic. There's not a lot of guys that will outwork me, and I Scott Whitty and Kyle Loftus are some of those dudes that are just like me and Scott were both editing it up editing until like 3-4 in the morning almost every night, and we were both up at 6 in the morning the next day.
Wow.
And the whole crew works this hard. Like it's a small but very mighty team, and it's ran very very efficiently and well. And it was also kind of cool to see that they have their own troubles too. Like it's not just it's not just fairies and rainbows and roses up there. Like they have their own trials and tribulations and shipwrecks and dumb stuff happens. And
Nothing gets recorded onto an SD card, and they're like, "Oh my god, what do we do
yeah,
now?"
like dumb camera problems. Like it's just dumb shit that happens. It's cool to see for me that like it's as dumb as it may sound, but that it's like never ending. Like, because you somewhat have like a perception that you're going to get to a certain point and just everything's going to be done and figured out, but it's not a thing. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, because I mean, I think as car guys too, we're going to push the envelope. We always want hey, I want to extend the life of this part, or I want to get new fancy and all that kind of stuff. Well, let's pivot just a little bit because obviously that's a high point in your career. Let's talk about you've been full time now for 3 years. We were one of the first people to interview you after you'd left and you're in Rocky Mountain, and that was so much fun. Is it getting easier for you? Is clients becoming easier, or is it, do you still got to go out there and hustle just like you always have?
Man, you really got to still go out there and hustle. It's certain things have become easier. Like editing and sorting photos has become so much easier because I do it every week or every weekend. I'm sorting through thousands and thousands of photos every freaking week. So that's gotten a lot easier. Some of the client recognition has gotten easier. Some of it's gotten harder because there's like a little bit of a stigma, I feel like now, that there's just like he's set up, like he's got guys that work for him now or whatever. So like I'm sure he's good, which I get it, and it's fine. But yeah, no, I still got to hustle the crap out of it. And this year more than ever, because like I said, this is the first year since we went full time in 2020 that like I have to like I have so much more time than I did in previous years because like just FD takes about eight weeks long.
Wow.
It's not 8 continuous weeks, but it's 3 days to drive to Grantsville, Utah, and then it's the event is 4.5 days, and then it's 3 days to drive back.
Yeah.
Or Georgia or Florida or wherever we were going.
Yep.
And it just took a lot of time. Whereas now I have all this extra time and now I'm going to fill it with drag races. Well, I've been the drag and drive guy now for so long that I go to an event like Lights Out and people have heard of me, but they don't know who I am and have never met me before. And so it's kind of like restarting, which I personally, I've been really enjoying. I feel like I have to hustle again.
Yeah. Right.
And it's a really cool feeling. Whereas like at Rocky Mountain Race Week, for example, and I'm not boasting by any stretch of the imagination, but like I'll fill up my photo package slots, months before the event even starts.
That's awesome.
And whereas I go to Lights Out. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas going to Lights Out or like a regular radio race or a no prep race or anything like that, like they've heard the name, but they don't know who I am. They didn't expect me to be there. Because it's not a drag and drive or it's not, the events that I've been going to. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to hear. And it gives me motivation.
Yeah, right. No, it's definitely still a hustle. And there's still events where like I'm still struggle busting. Like Death Week last year, like was rough. And then like after Death Week drive to Maryland to go to World Cup with like $100 to my name. Like that was rough. And that was not that long ago. Like that was 5 or 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Well, that leads great into our next topic. It's talking about some of those crazy stories you've had from the last few months. We saw you dropped a lens. You had car troubles. What kind of is some of the other struggles you've had as of recently?
Man, it doesn't stop. So I didn't just drop the lens. I dropped everything out of my camera bag. So I was using like I don't think it's in here, but I was using like I had the same $40 camera bag I bought off of Amazon years and years ago, and I had just been acquiring more stuff and Tetrising it into there. And it's one that like it zips around the flap and then like the whole flap opens. And
kind of sounds like
I don't know what
I just got.
Yeah, probably. um, yeah, and so I had just gotten the R6, which came with a few new lenses, and I had a few trusty dusty old lenses that I've been using forever. And the freaking we had to. I don't book hotel rooms in advance, mostly because I can't afford to book it until I get package clients in.
Yep.
And so we were stuck staying in this jank ass hotel in somewhere Georgia. So I was already pissed about the hotel. And then like we get to the room and like I open the door and I'm getting ready to like put this stuff on the bed and there's bugs and crazy shit everywhere. And then like I feel it start to open and I'm like, what is that? And then everything falls out of the damn camera bag. Like
Oh,
the only thing that didn't fall out was my freaking laptop, and it was because it was in a different bag. Thank God, because the laptop is like the
yeah.
most influential piece of equipment that I own, and it's also the most expensive piece of equipment that I own. And so, yeah, if it, yeah. But anyways, I broke my 24 to 70, a brand new 50 mil that I had just gotten,
Oh,
and a lot of CPL lenses, the little filters that go on the end of the camera, which it ended up totaling like $6,300 worth of bullshit that I broke in one
you
drop. Yeah,
dude.
but it did challenge me to use a different lens than I normally use because I normally just shoot like 24 to 70 to 70 to 200. And so now instead, because so I have like a short lens which
Yep.
shoots this wide, and then I have a long lens which shoots like this tight, but it can zoom super far. And my short lens is the one that broke, so I had to experiment with the other lenses that I bring but never use. And so I
Nice.
got to play around with a bunch of those and realize that I was like, oh, you know, I miss my 24 to 70, but I have other focal lengths to play with, and it was a good time.
That's awesome.
So
But yeah,
what lens do you typically use? Is
so
it
the 70 to 200 stays on consistently, like all the
okay?
time. Now, because I don't have the 24 to 70, I've been using my 35 millimeter quite a bit. Um, I like prime lenses, but it's hard to do like good photography, like good photojournalism of an event with a bunch of prime lenses because you kind of need the variability of having like a 24 to 70 and a 70 to 200.
Hmm.
But right now, yeah, 70 to 200, and then I'll either have the 35 on or the 16 to 35 on. Um, so I could go
Gotcha.
super wide or super tight.
Yeah, I don't know if you were on earlier when we were talking, but I finally today bought a camera, and I've got it came with a 30 mil lens and a 18 to 135, I think.
Yeah, so it's an 18 to 130. It's probably an f4 lens. It'll be good for most of what you're doing.
Yeah. So I'll have it on the circuit, so we'll see. It'll be something different for me to get used to because now I'll actually have a camera that's mine, and I can kind of start to learn on that camera instead of
Yeah.
borrowing everybody else's.
Well, and when you go to edit stuff, you'll be able to save a few presets that are camera specific, and it'll make the whole editing process a lot easier. Which we can talk more about that at the circuit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's gonna be sweet.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, dude, I want to say thanks for coming on tonight. I want to say thank you for being as open as you are with everybody. It's, yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
Jared Klapser hanging out car windows, sunroofs, and doors doing 80, taking pictures, doesn't break anything. Walks into a hotel, breaks everything.
Yeah, yeah, man, it's a struggle. But yeah, no, I said, I'm an open book. You know, part of the struggle is like if nobody knows, like it seems unrealistic because I go to so many damn events a year, but people don't understand that like I'm usually sleeping in my car or like bumming a room and I'm driving on like $48, like just enough to get there and like
Yep.
eating just whatever I can find. Like it's
Yep.
a grind, but I love the damn thing, and I want this to work more than I want to breathe in a lot of circumstances, and or than I want to be comfortable is a better example. And
Yeah.
if there's something that you want, whatever it is, You know, if you want it more than you want to be comfortable, man, freaking go after it. Because what's the worst that's going to happen? You sleep in your damn car?
Right.
Yeah,
Been there
we do it
before.
all the time. I think all three of us have slept in our car to make a drag race before. It's a
Yeah.
thing, man. It's
Yeah. And you know what's funny? After all the traveling I did last year, I almost missed that just a little bit. Almost, I
yeah.
feel like
What's up,
man,
Reggie?
you know. So I spent a bunch of money on a Chevy Trailblazer, fixing some stuff suspension wise, and we're gonna test it out at the circuit and see if it'll pull this little trailer and make it through the weekend and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited because that would actually give me a spot uh, better to sleep in for a couple hours than the little Saturn rocket. So
I'll
Yeah,
be
no, we're
bringing
building a
down a.
Suburban for the same reason.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
that's the plan. All right, dude. Well, thank you so much again. We'll see you in a couple weeks. I mean, dude, we're 15 days from the circuit. It's gonna be
man, I'm so excited.
it's gonna be so wild. It's gonna be absolutely intense. And for you guys that don't know, Chris is our official photographer. So if you are a photographer or a media team that is going to be at the circuit, here's how this works. I'm gonna be kind of a jerk. Um, if you have any questions or anything like that, come to me. If you can't find me, find Eric. If you can't find Eric, find Chris. And we're going to have a pre-meeting with all of the media teams and talk about some of the things that we're looking for. I think that's going to help folks when they maybe not know what to shoot, but then also um, courtesy and etiquette that we're gonna go back over on this side of stuff and what I would like to see from the event and from the media teams because the reality is like, while we love having you there, we need everybody to get along and act right. So it's probably one of the hardest things. We don't need any of the back and forth. So, all right,
There
dude.
ain't no competition there.
No, I mean,
No,
there's enough content to go around. I think that's probably one of the things that I want to talk about so much is just we all don't need to have the same launch shot. There, like let's venture out, let's show what this drag and drive life is really about. It's in the pits, it's at the route stops, it's eating restaurants, it's parking lot parties at 3 a.m. and people wrenching on stuff on the side of the road. Like there's so many times where I see the same shot from 5 different photographers. That's the launch from about 60 to 100 feet out.
yep.
Okay, got it. But hey,
Got to use your Lamborghinis. Walk around.
yeah, that's right, that's right. All right, Chris, thank you so much, dude. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yep. See you
Later,
soon.
boys.
Later.
Bye.
Man, I'm telling you right now, I'm really excited about him being this big of a part of the circuit because I think it's really going to help the event itself grow. But then also, with that many media teams being there, I mean, my goal is to be the premier. I'm staring right into the camera. Whoever's watching this right now, the premier drag and drive regional event. That's what I want circuit to be. I want people falling all over themselves to be there the next year because we're going to have so much fun. And I think to do it, we have to have people like Chris Story, who has been to several events, who is a professional, does it all the time, every day in, day out, at some of the biggest stages in the world. So I'm excited to do that.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to just kick this door down and have some fun.
We're
Well,
gonna have a ton of fun for sure.
yeah, and let's pivot just a little bit. I want to talk about what's coming up next week before we bring Pat Cook on. So I know he's backstage. He's been with us the whole time, watching from behind the scenes. So I just want to give him a warning. We're coming to you in a minute, bud. On episode 58, which is the episode after this, we are releasing a new product to the market. There'll be a group buy for that product for everyone. It's not something that Eric and I created. It is something that another drag and drive racer created that, based on the conversations I've had, is going to fix, I can't say what it is, but it's going to fix a lot of issues that your drag and drive car or your hot rod has that you may have wired yourself. I think this is going to be it's going to be a great product. And I appreciate the company allowing us to offer a group buy. We're working out the rules of that right now. And again, we're going to go over that next week. We're going to release that as the big thing right before the circuit. So it's going to be kind of cool. So again, that is on episode 58, which will be playing next week. I'm ready for
It'll
that.
be it'll be exciting.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I think it's going to be great because the one of the things that came up great during the conversation with this person was exactly the struggle I have with the old truck. So I think this is going to handle a lot of problems, and it's really kind of a universal deal. So it's going to be awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Uh, we're creating a new segment. This is not going to be something that's weekly. It may not even be something that's monthly, but it is going to be something that is fun when we do it. My goal is to do it at least 6 times throughout the rest of the year. And I can't imagine having a better person come on for this than this is going to be our Dare to Be Different segment. And Jonathan Stonecipher called me the other day and was like, dude, this would be great. And I think he's 100% right. So during this segment, we're going to have a guest on. We're going to talk about what makes their car different. It's going to be interesting cars, interesting racers, interesting stories, interesting situations that they get themselves in, and things like that. Because we want to show that you don't have to have like a Fox Body Mustang that runs 850s to come do dragon drives and have fun.
That hurts me. That hurts me.
What do you mean? So
You're right. Mine doesn't run that fast.
That's right. Not yet. Not yet. It's getting there. It's getting there. And so Pat Cook is one of the funnest people you'll be around ever in your entire drag and drive life. The one thing that's cool now, Pat races or has raced in the past. Hang on, I'm getting to the picture here. Almost there. I promise. That's right. This Honda Grom.
Yep.
Dude. This thing is crazy, but we're going to talk about that in just a second. So I want you to introduce yourself. I want you to tell everybody how many events you've been on and all that kind of stuff.
So I'm Pat. I've done Rocky Mountain Race Week the last 2 years, both events. So 2022 and 23. Had to stop and do the math there. But in 2022 for both events, I raced a completely stock Honda Grom. Like I bought it a month before race week. It had like 180 miles when I started. And then last year I raced a Ninja 400.
Nice.
And then I've also did the circuit last year, coming for the circuit this year, and I did King of the Open Road last year. And the circuit and King of the Open Road I did on the Grom.
Yep. So, 300 miles sounds like a long way on the Grom, but you've actually ridden that thing like 1,300 miles during a trip, right?
Yep. For 1.0 race week, it was actually closer to 1,400 because I missed a couple turns. up in the mountains between Kearney and Pueblo, I missed a turn because I thought it said 19 miles instead of 1.9. And so like 20 miles later, I turned around and came back.
Nice. I don't think you were the only person that made that mistake, right? I think there were some other folks that made that drive.
It wouldn't have surprised me. I didn't see anybody else there, but they would have been passing me.
Yeah. So obviously the first question is, how fast does a Honda Grom go?
So most of the time on the road, it's like 55, 60. When we were driving from Ennis up to Tulsa through Dallas, I was riding really stupid, drafting behind semis, and I saw 83 on the Speedo.
Wow.
What? Dude, that is awesome. That's awesome. 83
It was ridiculous. Like I could almost reach out and grab them.
Pull me along, please. Hang on. I want to get back to this. I thought I had grabbed a shot of you on the Grom. I guess I did not. Dadgummit. But it's awesome, man. It is awesome.
So much fun.
Yeah. So you've done a few of those on that. Now you also here's the Ninja, and I want to say shout out to Roadrunner Media for the shot here. And you actually pull a trailer with this thing.
Yep. I last summer for 1.0 I didn't, but having to take the saddlebags on and off was such a pain in the butt. I made sure I had a trailer for 2.0. It was so much better. And I could have a chair.
Yeah. That's awesome. So how does it pull with the like how do they make trailer hitch mounts for those bikes?
They don't at all. Essentially what it was is I've got a couple steel plates that run up the side of the swing arm with a hole the axle goes through, and then it clamps the swing arm about 8 inches ahead of the axle. And then it just has a cross beam for the hitch ball.
Wow.
Really didn't notice it much. Like I felt it rattle around in parking lots, but it pulled just fine at like 85 and 90.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Because that's one thing about you motorcycle guys. You can still cruise on at speed. And this shot here looks like Bandamere, so I would
Yep.
think 2.0.
That was I think either Chris or Jesse took that picture. Chris
Wow.
Story or Jesse Fox. Everybody else is down at the bottom end of the track taking the big group photo, and we're up at the top end taking a picture.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So run us through the group of racers in this photo here.
So I'll go from me to the other way because it's just easier. Won't confuse myself. But there's me on the Ninja 400. There's Chris Baker. He's on a Hayabusa. He was actually in the top 100 racers last year, ET wise.
Yep.
He runs 860s. Then Dustin, who's on a Dustin Moody from Moody Performance and Design. He's got his ZRX 1200 that he ran 8s on 2.0, and then rode from Bandamere back to Pueblo on 3 cylinders and finished, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then Shane Warner, he's raced the Gixxer 1000. He's the guy in 2021 that wrecked and broke his leg, and he came back and raced the next event he could. And then
Awesome.
James Revels, who's in this picture, was riding Dustin's VTX 1300, but he's also raced Honda Magna.
Nice. Yeah, I want to say I think I had him mixed up with somebody because I was like I thought it was the Magna, not the VTX. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, super cool group of guys. And do you guys typically cruise together, or is it kind of like regular race cars where everybody leaves when they want to?
Everybody kind of leaves when they want to. On 1.0 this year, I cruised with them I caught up with them between Pueblo and Kearney and cruised with them the whole way back there on
Nice.
the last day. But we all kind of cruise in our own groups.
That's cool. Well, did you cruise in a group on the Grom?
I did not. There were a couple times I did because they got stuck behind me.
Nice.
We left Sterling through the construction in 2022, and I pulled over after all the traffic cleared, and I probably had like 30 or 40 race weekers pass me.
Oh wow.
It
was a big group, including Matt and June in the truck.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So run us through like the strategy when you're racing something that only goes 55 or 60 miles an hour on the highway, because like cars do it all the time, but they don't seem to leave early. I think most of the time you would like make a pass or two and then you were gone.
Some of the time usually I was just completely exhausted, and so I go crash at the hotel. But in 2022 race week, the first time I was there from Great Bend, I think I made 2 passes in Great Bend and hit the road because I'm like, nobody cares about a Grom on day 1 anyway. So I was actually in Kearney at like 11 o'clock that night.
Nice.
So 2 years in a row, I've been in Kearney on day 1. But I stayed in Kearney. I think I left at like 6:30 in the morning from there. It was pretty much that way every day. From Kearney to Bandamere, I actually stayed overnight. I don't even remember the town, like Greeley or wherever, by where Pinky's was, which was the checkpoint, Pinky's Hot Rod Shop. And then made the mistake of leaving at like 6 in the morning and driving up to Estes Park. I was so cold. I had to stop like 4 or 5 times just to warm up.
Wow.
You're like, it was against that, against the engine, please warm me up.
And it wasn't even that warm because it's working so hard, but it's just getting air dumped over it because it's so damn far down there.
Yeah.
But it was pretty much like that every day. I just got up real early. The day we drove from Pueblo back to Great Bend, I probably left closer to 6, and I was in Great Bend at like 3:30 that afternoon.
Wow.
But I just straight through. I think I stopped at the second checkpoint for 15 minutes, but I didn't stop anywhere other than get gas, use their bathroom, and go.
Man, I just can't imagine being on a motorcycle that far. There's been a couple days back when I had sport bikes that I had ridden 200 miles in a day, and that was enough. I didn't want any more of that motorcycle at all.
I've been there too.
So you have it's a 50 cc, right?
The Grom is a 125.
125, and then you have you have another one with more power? What's you have two, right?
I have two, yeah. The other one has it's a motor from a CBR 250, so it's a 250cc single that it never fails to fail, it seems like. Because I was actually signed up to do race week in 2021 and it failed. And then it failed in 2022, which is why I got the other Grom. I'm like, I'm still going to do it on a Grom. It's just going to be a whole lot more awful. But
Wow.
when it works, it's a lot of fun because it's the stock Grom's like 8 horsepower maybe. And the 250 is, it's like 22, 23 horse.
Wow.
So stock wheelbase, it'll wheelie in first and second gear. Like just, you just gun it, dump the clutch, and it'll loop. It's ridiculously fun.
Just a hard tug on the bars and you're up, I bet.
Yep. Or like first to second, you just leave the throttle open, dump the clutch, and it'll hop it right up.
Nice. Nice.
You can ride really lazy because it's got enough power, but it's not like dumb.
Yeah.
Well, completely dumb.
No, it's pretty dumb. I like it. I like it. Well, run us through the 400. Like you have any modifications? Is it all stock? Where did it come from?
I picked that up because I wanted something bigger than the Grom, but wasn't sure what, and knew I wouldn't completely lose my butt buying that. And I put a quick shifter on it, so you just hit the shift lever, it interrupts the ignition and shifts, kind of like strain gauge does for stick shift guys. Yeah. And I put different handlebars on it because the stock bars just leaned at a weird angle. So I put a set of aftermarket racing bars on there that were a little bit flatter and a quick throttle because, well, I've had the bad habit of liking that way too much from the bike I've had the longest.
Yeah. That's cool. Well,
but it got a paint job now though.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about the paint job. Hang on, I'm getting the pictures pulled up here. Well, hang on. Let's not talk about the paint job yet. Let's talk about this thing right here, dude. I want you for the folks listening on the podcast. I'm showing a picture of a Grom and what looks like a Hot Wheels motorcycle.
It's ridiculous. I love it.
Yeah. What is that?
It's made by a company that builds mini bikes called RCF. It's their micro mini bike. That's the Predator, not the 212 Predator motor. That's the 79cc, and it barely fits in there. I think it's on like little 4-inch wheels. I got that so I could put it on the trailer behind the bike, and didn't get it in time for 2.0, but I got it in time for King of the Open Road, and so it came along for pit bike.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I have it like halfway apart right now because for King of the Open Road, I just threw it together and took it, but it's getting painted right now, like a lime green color.
Yeah, well, if you're gonna have something like that, it's got to be a brightly colored rig.
Oh yeah,
that's crazy. So yeah, let's flip the script here and talk about maybe people can see the paint job on the new paint job in the back.
It's like shiny black color with a little bit of red.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. So walk us through this new paint scheme and the upgrades to this bike.
Well, that one's still stock. It's a 2018 Hayabusa I got a week and a half ago. Traded the Ninja in for it.
Yes.
I can kind of blame Race Week for that, for the plans next year.
Yes. For folks that don't know, the difference in riding between like a Ninja, and I've never been on a 400 Ninja, and a Busa, are like what would be probably like a Camaro to, I don't like a modified Lamborghini. These things will pull your face off.
The funny part was I went over the scales with the Ninja in Bandamere, and I was 585 pounds with me on the bike. That bike weighs as much as me and the Ninja did combined, but it makes 140 horse more than the Ninja. It's about 170, 180 horse, somewhere in there.
Wow.
Yeah. And longer wheelbase. Like
yep.
Better seating position, and literally is just going to be awesome.
And it doesn't scream your ears out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like these are like the touring cars, or these are like the touring bikes of car. I mean, like people, these are made to ride.
Yep.
Yeah, they will obviously go 200 miles an hour, 186 probably limited if it's all stock like that. But like this bike getting there is going to do that very, very quickly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's not my first big bike, but it's definitely more. And like I've got a few plans for it. Like hopefully, I don't know this year, but kind of set it up as 10.0 index, which it shouldn't have any trouble doing.
Yeah. Yeah, you can
And
probably run it pretty easy and run 10-0s, I would think.
yep,
Con
it's going to be
consistently,
the
not easy,
driver
but
that's the
consistent.
problem more than the bike.
Yeah. 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 I'm sure it won't take long to get upgrades.
Mhm.
You know, the group of guys you ride along with and
Yep.
talk with on this stuff, they do all that as well. So this is
They're
pretty
going to
neat.
be a bad influence. It's going to be great.
Oh yeah.
So what's
So
your current fleet of bikes? Is it just this and the Grom?
So I've got the race week Grom, as I call it, because it's easier to keep straight. I've got the 250 Grom. I've got the Hayabusa. I have a Honda Navi, which is 110cc, basically a scooter that they tried to make not look like a scooter.
hmm,
And then I've got my baby that's actually sitting in Oklahoma with Dustin Moody right now. Yep,
this one?
that
Yeah.
one. My it's an 04 Honda RC51,
Mm,
which 1000cc V twin sport bike.
mm.
It revs to like 10,000 RPM, gear drive cams, so it's nice and whiny. It's so much fun.
This is one of the coolest bikes ever. Just
Mhm.
the sound they have and the torque is they're built for wheelies, man.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us the background on this story, where this bike came from, why it's your baby, and all that.
So the story with that one, I actually started dreaming about with that one when I was still in high school. Joined the army, and I found that with 5,000 miles on it in 2009. Well, 2010, right after I got back from my first deployment, and paid like $7,500 for it. Spent the rest of the time I was in the army paying it off and paying even more in insurance. But it's the bike I just dreamed of having for so long, and
Yeah.
it's never disappointed. It's still basically the only thing's done to it right in those pictures that are it's getting a few things now, but it's a slip-on Yoshimura exhaust because the stock one makes it sound like a supercharger whine with no
Yeah.
other noise. And
Yeah.
then it's got a quick throttle and just a couple other little tweaks to help it out, get rid of the little bit of emission stuff. And it's got a quick throttle on it, so it's like really snappy if you're not used to it.
Nice. Yeah, I may need to ride this. I haven't ridden wheelies in a
Mhm.
long time, and I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that to your bike.
The first time I ever actually wheelied that bike, I didn't realize the front end came up until I set it down at like 85 mile an hour.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I was pulling up on the interstate and just laid into it, and it set down, and I'm like, "Wait, what was that?"
That was a wheelie through second and third gear. Wow. Yeah.
Through second. First gear tops out at almost 70.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's like you don't want to go under 30 on that bike because first gear is useless.
Well, and the way the V twin works, it's real bump, bump, bump,
Yep.
bump. It's kinda choppy.
Because
Yeah.
it's got a really light crank in it. So like compared to the Booza, like I blip the throttle in this and it's like 8,000 RPM. The Booza is like
Yeah.
4.
Yeah. Yeah. And completely different setups. You know, the
Mm.
Buick 1300cc inline four. This is,
Yep.
you know, this is 2-cylinder, right? Twin.
Yep.
Yeah. V twin. Yeah.
2000 twin. It's
Yeah.
it kind of makes stock Honda and Fox body guys jealous because it's got not one but two 62 millimeter throttle bodies.
Yeah.
Like you can see most of both intake valves if you open the throttle blades.
Man, that's awesome.
And
That's awesome.
I think it's like a 4-inch bore and like a 3-inch stroke, like 100 millimeter and 67 millimeter.
Yeah. That'd be a beefy engine. Like a
Mhm.
V8 in that would be pretty rowdy.
It'd be great.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So you got quite a few bikes. Do you got any other vehicles? Do you drive anything other than motorcycles?
well, my daily is my work truck, is my company truck that's a F-250, but I have 3 of them. One of them is a 64, 67, I forget what year it is, MG Midget. That's still a shell. That's going to get built as a gasser
Oh, nice.
because
Yes.
it's just cool and ridiculous that way.
Yeah.
which it hasn't been started. I've got a 90 Miata. That's a Miata kart.
Oh,
But
nice.
yeah, it had. I got it running, and then it ate. It wasn't a piece of a ring, and I thought it was just a little piece of metal, and killed one of the pistons. So it's working on getting put back together. The cylinder was fine. It beat up a part of the head that doesn't matter.
Nice. All right.
So it's in the process of getting put back together. Maybe it'll make it to race week this year, but the backup plan is I've got a 2014 EcoBoost F-150 four-wheel drive, which is boring, but my nephew's going to come with me this year for race week, so I need something that'll be reliable enough for both of us.
Yeah.
And he's
I
not
wanted
getting
to.
on the back seat of a bike.
No, he probably would do it for an hour, but I don't want to.
I've wanted to build a Miata kart for a while. It seems like it'd be a lot of fun, but of course I would throw an LS in it. That's, what else would I do?
Yeah, the only hard part with them really at that point is a strong enough rear end.
Yeah.
Which I've seen. I think he did Sick Week, and I don't even ever remember his name. He's got the Miata with an LS in it, and he 4-linked it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Matt Lamphere.
Yep. Because it's not hard to do. It doesn't really need subframe connectors or everything, because it has it's like a 2x3 inch square tube type frame that's part of the unibody that runs the whole length of the chassis. So it's a really stiff car.
Cool.
And then they build all the braces underneath for it.
Yeah, it's like they knew that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
they're a lot of fun.
What's the story with the Gasser midget? What's the plan for it? Like solid axle front, or are you going to move some of the Miata stuff over?
It's probably going to be a solid axle front, and I'll probably leaf spring at both ends, just because it's idiot proof. And we'll see if I can mess that up. I haven't figured out an engine yet. If I could figure out how to run it, I'd figure out like the 3900 motors, like in the Impala. That's the 60-degree V6 would fit in there real well.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
If I could figure out how to run the fuel injection and put a blower on that, it'd be kind of cool. Or like a 5-liter Ford, because it's a little bit narrower than an LS, and you need a shoehorn to fit a person in a midget, let alone anything else.
We know, we've been down that road, especially with the V8. The cool thing about the Gasser setup, though, is you could really kind of move the engine forward a little bit, so you're not getting too much of the firewall there.
Yeah, and you get rid of some of the steering cross member issues and stuff like that.
Yeah, you and Steven need to talk. I'm not going to say anything more, but you and Steven, my brother, need to talk. There's some conversation you guys could have around gassers and that kind of stuff. So,
I've looked over his car quite a bit. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Just wait. I'll tell you after this. I'm not going to put it out there, but if anybody wants to go follow the build process, Narcoleptic Customs is the place to go for that. Those cars are tiny. So I'm sensing a theme here. We have a Grom, we have MG midgets,
Miata.
Why? Miata. Why small stuff, man? What do you just dare to be different? Do you like what's the reasoning behind it?
Pretty much. Like, this is actually the 4th Miata I've had, and I probably should give up on it because it's got a few rust issues and stuff, but I can't. The first Miata I had at the same time as the RC51, so the most powerful vehicle I had was a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And then I traded that for a BMW that had a 5-liter Ford in it, and nice. I regretted that. And then I had Miata that got rear-ended, and so the chassis and everything got bent real bad and just messed up. And annoyingly, I just sold the motor from that one like 8 months ago, and then picked this car up like it's probably been like 5 months ago now. And I'm just like, because I had a 1 point stock, the 90 to 93s are 1.6, and then after that they went to the 1.8s, and it's like 8 horsepower and like 10 foot-pounds of torque, but when it makes nothing, it's a little bit.
Right.
That you got to have it. You got to have it for sure.
Yep. And then the last one I had was just full of rust.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about Miatas is back then they were inexpensive. Now they're not really inexpensive anymore. They keep getting more expensive as you go. I'm like, I don't understand why, but hey, that's the way cool cars work, you know?
Yeah. Well, I've seen them do like everything from drag racing to road racing to there's an off-roadster Miata that's got like, I think he has like 18 inches of suspension travel on that kit that he sells.
Holy cow.
Nice.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's kind of get back to some of the drag and drive stuff. Tell us some stories about being on the road. What do people say to you when they see you on the Grom? Do they come up and ask you if you're crazy, or what's that experience like?
So my favorite one from asking me if I'm crazy was race week on 1.0. I got to Pinky's in June, and Matt and a few other people were standing out there as I pull into the parking lot, and they're like, "So did you lose a bet?" And I'm like, "No, it probably would have been funnier. I'm just dumb," and then I just started cracking up. But like the first people I stopped to check on the side of the road, and I had no idea who at the time they were, was Bill Armstrong and Rich Guido.
Oh, nice.
Leaving Kearney in the morning, and I'm like, what? And then they passed me like 20 minutes later, like I was standing still because
dude,
their normal cruising pace.
Yeah.
They've passed me when I was on the Ninja. I was doing like 80, and I'm just like, how are they going that fast?
Yeah, because they have that 6 gears to 0.5 Rich's car. That's why.
It's crazy. Yeah. And it was pretty much like that all a race week. Like everywhere I went, there are either people waving, telling me to keep going, like cheering me on, laughing, like all sorts of stuff like that, which was great. That's because cool. There were definitely a few times I was hurting and regretting life because like I think it took me 8 or 9 hours to get from Kearney to Pinky's, which was like maybe 5 on the Ninja, and I stopped a few times for like 25-30 minutes.
Wow.
Like it was, but the section from Sterling over through the grassland, the prairie lands or whatever over there, like it was a headwind, semis coming. Like I was lucky to maintain 50. It was bad, and every semi felt like a ton of bricks. But like especially that day, Matt Moore from MRC Fab, I think, yeah, I kept up with them the entire day. Like they'd stop and I'd catch up to them and stop and chat with them the entire day through till I stopped at the checkpoint. I'm like, how? Like stuff like that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So
yeah, I think his car's a Power Glide and deep gear because he runs a 235 class. So like,
yeah,
they're running 50, 55, and you are too. But semis, it's like 48.
Yep. Oh yeah, if that some of the time.
Yep.
So the construction, on the other hand, I was just wishing they go faster.
Yeah. What's the Grom run in the quarter mile?
I think I've run a 21.9 once, but it's usually around a 22.8 or 9.
Gotcha. Wow.
And it's one where it's literally like you get up to the line, stage it, wait till you light both bulbs, hold the throttle wide open, and just dump the clutch. It bogs and then goes. Don't let off the throttle till you're like 40 feet from the turnoff, and then you just get off on the brakes and huck it around the corner.
Nice.
Yeah.
So would it be illegal if you ride the Grom up on the back of somebody's trailer to stay on the Grom? You might be able to get to checkpoints a little quicker.
That's probably illegal.
we had that discussion actually last year because James had a blowout on the VTX on the way from after we left Fairplay, and I can't remember what it was, on the way back to Pueblo. And so they put it up on the trailer behind the 335, Jessica Warner's car. He rode with her the rest of the way, and they're like, you should have put him on the trailer. We'd have let him go. He finished.
Yeah. He's just back there on the trailer.
You got to stay on it the whole time, though.
Yeah. That would have been funny.
Yeah. He could at least pull in the track that way.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think that would at least be comical if you got on it right as you're pulling into the track.
Yep.
Nope, I was here the whole time, I swear.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, that's how. So, what do you bring into the circuit? What's the plan for it?
So the plan is to bring the Booza.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's what I'm about.
The goal is to run an 11.0 at 129 because I haven't gotten the gear yet to go faster.
Gotcha. So walk us through that. What's the difference in? Is it a different riding suit? I guess.
Yeah. NHRA rules. You got to have basically 11.0 and 129 and slower. It's leather jacket, leather gloves, and they want like slide buttons and stuff on the gloves. Snell, I forget what the years are. Mine's like
Yeah.
a 22 helmet. And then leather, something over the ankle that's leather. Once you go faster than that, it's full leathers. You got to have a kill switch on the bike. So if you fall off, it kills the motor. And
Oh,
that's really the only differences.
wow.
Gotcha.
Now that bike, I mean, it should be able to go faster than 11.0 in factory trim, right?
Yeah, it should
Right.
run with me. With my inexperience, probably low to mid 10s.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, they're pretty crazy. So I had a friend, and at the time I had a GSXR 1000, and he had a Busa, and we were both like, I was two up in the rear and an exhaust and like whatever the plug-in tuner was, right? And then he had, I think he was one down, three up, or something crazy like that. Man,
Yeah.
I'm telling y'all right now, like obviously the 1000 was way faster if we had any kind of corners, but if there was a straightaway that was even an eighth mile long, that dude would just come blasting past me. Those
Oh, yeah.
bikes just are so fast. It's
Mhm.
ridiculous. So obviously we switched.
Yep.
Let him ride mine on the highway for a little bit, and he let me ride his. The wheelie on a Busa is way different than the wheelie on like a 1000.
Oh, I'm
The
sure.
1000 is kind of pitchy, but that boot, dude, it was just, man, they're made to do that. Like it's made to be in the air. It's
Yeah.
the arrow on those is awesome. You're gonna have a lot of fun on that bike.
I'm gonna get myself into trouble because 90 does not feel like 90.
Oh yeah. Well, and just the air flow around you is so different than what it would be like on the 400 and definitely
Yep.
on the Grom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even like the RC as a whole, you feel a lot more wind.
Yeah. Well, I mean that the RC's made for this, and the boot
It does
is
it
made
really
for
well.
kind of some upright riding. It's gonna be really cool. So I can't wait. Obviously, we're gonna follow you along all week. We're gonna continue the Dare to Be Different stuff here, and we're gonna be able to talk about that at the circuit. So you're one of the one of the guys on the list that we have that we're going to be following along. That we're going to talk to every day and kind of get some updates and things like that.
And
So,
the fun part is I'm gonna ride the bike the whole way up from home.
dude, you're
Oh, that's what-
crazy.
Yeah.
You can't see my notes, but I literally just before you asked that, I typed out to ask if you trailer the bike or if you ride it to the events.
Wow.
So the Ninja and the Grom, the Grom the first year, when I drove up to Great Bend, it was in the back of my Jeep. I had a Wrangler JK, and I popped the handlebars off, just put it in the back of the Jeep and cruised up, so I didn't have to pull a trailer. And then for 2.0 that year, I towed both up because I was hoping the 250 would work well enough to make a pass last day, and it's failed like always. And then the Ninja's just been hauled up in the back of my truck. And actually, last year it got hauled up to Oklahoma with it and the RC51 in the back of the truck when I dropped the RC51 off to get fixed because it's been down for like 5-6 years now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And you said it's at Dustin's place.
Yep. He hasn't given me a time frame. I'm not pushing him because he's working it in between all his other jobs that he's got, including his own bikes. And so it's like, when you get it done, you get it done. Parts are going to be on back order for stuff anyway. So,
So you're planning on riding, what is it, like 900 miles to the circuit on the Busa?
I think it was 884 last year because Pat was in a little bit of controversy. We awarded the furthest travel to Randy Kane, and then, like Pat does, he's a gentleman. Came up afterwards and was like, "Hey, I'm actually 75 miles further than Randy Kane." So appreciate him saying that. It was pretty cool, man. 884 miles, I think, is what it was. So
yeah, it's like when you hear Texas, you're like, "Oh, it's not that far," and then I'm like, "No, like Dallas is 8.5 hours north."
Yeah,
San Antonio is 4 hours north.
Yep. Yeah,
I'm
you are
way down there.
Yeah, you're way down there. So it's funny whenever I pull up the FOAT stuff, which is where people buy tickets and all that kind of stuff to sign up for, which we're sold out. So nobody's buying tickets right now. We do get some folks that are coming off the wait list, so I'm excited about that. I'm sending those emails tonight. It's like this cluster of red around the central part of Texas. And then there's this one little bitty dot way down at the
Mhm.
yeah. Jay Blanchard said Brian and I thought we had the longest traveled, and they were within like 8 or 10 miles or something, right? It was like they were right on and they live in different parts of the country than Randy.
Yeah.
So I think you were
Yeah,
like
I think
803 and Randy was 810 or something like that.
yeah, I think they were saying like depending on did they leave from Jay's or Brian's, they were trying to
Yep.
figure out which one
Yep.
gave them a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So
Mhm.
dude, I can't imagine being on a bike that long.
It's going to be an adventure because I'm making the drive Wednesday afternoon after work and Thursday.
You're
Uh,
an animal.
How
it's
many
going to be
hours is
fun.
it?
Like
Well,
right around 14, I think.
Wow,
you
that's a
gotta
lot
believe that.
Yeah.
How
on a
many
bike.
miles? How many miles are on the Busa?
Right around 58, 5,900, somewhere in there.
Wow, you're gonna
So,
almost double it.
mhm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Okay, well, we're winding down here. We gotta end the show, but dude, I want to say thanks for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for telling the stories. I do want to ask
Mhm.
one last question. I saw this, of course, I was digging around on your Facebook. Who's this kid?
That's my younger brother. He's 3 years younger than me. We had
Nice.
we had that and another. That one has a 3-horse Tecumseh motor in it. We also had one with a 5-horse Briggs and Stratton motor in it. We wore those things out until they fell apart so bad you couldn't even weld them together anymore growing up.
So what you're saying is you've been a motorcycle guy forever.
Oh, I grew up around them. Like I have
How
the
fun.
first time I made the newspaper, I was in like 10 years old doing motorcycle games at a bike rally in like Erie, Pennsylvania.
Nice.
My
That's
dad and I
awesome.
actually rode his Goldwing when I was like 10 or 11 to church Christmas Sunday in Western New York State because the roads were clear and it was like 40 degrees.
Wow. Wow. Hey,
Hmm.
we'll blame your dare to be different on your dad.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome. All right. Well, tell people where they can follow you. I mean, do you have some social media stuff folks can keep up with?
I do. I think I'm Pat Cook on YouTube if you want to see old videos of my RC51 when I was out at Twisted Sisters, or I think I have a video up of me racing Adam last year. Um, I can't. I think my Instagram is either Putrid Duckling or Pat Cook. I'm Pat Cook on Facebook. I tend to just post randomly between all three sometimes, and not super
Yeah.
consistent, and work pictures and stuff too. So,
Yep. Awesome. Well, dude, again, we appreciate it. And we'll see you soon. Couple weeks, man. We're gonna be at the
Yep.
circuit.
yep, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
All right.
Awesome.
We'll see you later.
Thanks, man.
All right, thanks.
Dude, what a fun night.
Yeah,
What a
absolutely.
fun night. One thing we didn't ask Chris Story was where people could find his stuff. Obviously, Chris Story photo everywhere with an F. You can find it. Yeah, hey, hang on. He stayed out back. I'm gonna bring you in, dude. Tell her where they can find you.
Chris Story photo on everything. Sorry,
Yeah,
bad habit.
yeah,
YouTube, Instagram, not Facebook. Facebook is just my name. I have a Chris Story photo Facebook thing, but I never use it because
yep.
I have 3,000 friends on my Chris Story page, and so I really need to delete it, but I'm an idiot. I don't know how. Yeah, Chris Story photo on absolutely everything.
Yeah. All right. Well, stay with us because I want to talk to you for just a second. We gotta close this out.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out tonight. We really appreciate it. Huge night tonight. I mean, I think we had some fun. Um, I'm ready, dude, for the circuit's going to be nuts. Obviously, we've talked about that a lot. I'm ready to see the weekend for Drag and Drive. There's a lot of stuff coming up. You know, we've got this weekend is the two events. We've got Carolina Drag Cruise and Road Trip Drag Challenge. Next weekend, we've got the postponement of Mike Mayo's deal, the Battle of the Streets from Central Georgia. So that's going to be awesome to see that come about. The next weekend is the circuit and Central Victorian Dragon Drive. And then we've got Cruise and Lose and King of the Open Road to end out the month. Again, 7 events, 7 Dragon Drive events across the world in the month of April. Absolutely insane. I said it at the beginning of the show. This is the busiest month of Dragon Drive. And y'all, it's going to be insane. I hope you're
Yeah.
ready. I hope you're ready for this. We're talking like more than 1,000 racers or 700 racers or something like that will be racing over this month. In Jay Blanchard said, "See you next week, dude." I'm so anxious, man. I'll be up late again tonight working on stuff for the circuit. It's amazing how fast time gets by it.
Yeah.
And then I'm ready to see you, dude. We're gonna have some fun again. See everybody in a couple weeks, or see
Yep.
everybody in a couple days here, but then a couple weeks at the circuit.
Yep. All right. So end out the show again. We want to say thanks to all the race car friends. We say it all the time. We mean it. We can't do it without you guys supporting us. Also, thanks to all of our sponsors: Summit Racing Equipment, Driven Racing Oil, Molly Motorsports, Car Chains 3D, Howard's Cams, Performabuilt Transmissions, Sweet Patina, Racing Junk, and our newest media partner, Powered Tube TV. Guys, we will see you on Saturday morning.
Yep. All right, guys. Later.